I like this conversation. Tanik Abb started this conversation talking about her grandmother, and it gave other women the opening to talk about what their grandmothers went through. And it's just completely different from the memories or supposed memories that the men have of their grandmothers. Now, Tanik Abb says, sometimes I randomly think about how my grandmother divorced my grandfather in 1965 and literally never saw him again. And when we came to her house the day of his funeral and told her that he died, she said, okay, the business she stood on needs to be studied because it was over. She said, what that got to do with me? Now, let's see what the rest of these ladies said. And I'm just going to fill up a whole 10-minute video talking about the experiences of women. Skeptic Psychic said, my maternal grandma was forced to marry my grandpa for money. When she finally divorced him, she invited him over to sign the papers. He pulled a pew pew on her for not wanting to sign. One of my uncles pulled up a rifle to his back. My grandma pulled out her pew pew and they made him sign. They made him sign. Okay, that's definitely a story. And that's why this person at the bottom says, wow, that reads like a movie script. Thanks for sharing. That really does sound like a movie script, like everybody is pulling out their firearms. Key the Greatest says, my granddad was seeing spirits before he passed, and he was really afraid. I asked my granny what she thought it was, and she said Satan was coming to collect. Mary Sylvan said, men are on here lamenting the fact that we're not like our grandmothers. And then I read stories like this and wonder if they really want us acting like our grandmothers. I really do think, I mean, I know it was a mixed bag. Not everybody was pulling pew pews. Not everybody was putting some razzle dazzle, and someone uses the word razzle dazzle later. Not everybody was putting some razzle dazzle in their breakfast. Some women were just compliant, and they want to get back to the days where women were just compliant. Sade at the bottom, her comment gets cut off, but she said those men were sheltered from truth. They live in fantasy. They have no idea what their grandpas were doing to their grandmothers. But I really do, I don't even know if that's true. They might know what their granddads were doing. They just don't care. They still want that life because they want that control. Even though the grandmothers are the ones that told us, absolutely not. They're the ones that are sitting up here sharing these stories, pushing us to get our education, championing us, going through, getting careers and everything. They're the ones championing and cheerleading for us to get careers and everything. August Queen says he's lucky she filed for divorce. A lot of women just slipped a little razzle dazzle in his breakfast. I said razzle dazzle was going to come up. Please take that. I'm sure we need to put that in our back pocket for some reason to use for later. Shan Boogie says, my grandmother was too deep in cognitive decline to understand her former husband was dead, but it didn't stop her from laughing after she found out. And looking back, I love that for her. But Zoe says, you think she didn't know? God bless your grandmother. Just Nick says, when my grandfather passed away, my grandmother never dated again. I thought it was because she loved him so much. But nope, she said, I'm not going to go out and get a new owner. I've done my time. She smiled brighter all the time when he passed away. Woo. Sarah says, I love my husband. He's a wonderful man and a good husband, a great father, a reasonable and stable partner. We've been married for 15 years, and I still tell him if he dies first, I'm never getting married again. Not because of him, but because I have zero interest in being answerable to anyone else ever again. This one made me chuckle a little bit. Annie Saxberg says, my grandmother played bridge with a woman long divorced. She stepped away from the table to take a phone call and then came back like nothing. This quote, the father of my children just died. To club. All right, Sarah says, this was my mother-in-law. 20 years of marriage, 25 years divorced. When my father-in-law died, she was like, oh, okay. Chenoa O'Neill says, my grandma and great-grandma did the same thing. Meanwhile, I'm delulu over a man that ain't even my man. And then Mrs. Kashan says, oh, sis, say it ain't so. And then uses this to say, stand up, stand up. Absolutely. Like, let's get to standing on business. She knows that she's Delulu. I need women to stop doing this. Chenoa says, I know I'm trying. And then I am Felicia. Elaine says, acceptance is first. Get out if it ain't working. Choose you first. Choose you first. It is perfectly fine. Stop centering them in everything. Glamazon Cavey says, my mom was like that when I told her her dad passed. I went to the wake with my aunts, and afterwards, when everyone got drunk, the secrets came out about him. He was a terrible man. Why didn't my mom say anything while we were growing up? He was kind of mean to me, but she still wanted me to be respectful and ish. And a terrible, terrible man when the secrets came out. I didn't go to the funeral. And that's the thing. Back in the day, they wanted everything to stay in the house. You don't talk about secrets outside the house. They wanted everything hidden. And that's the reason why abuse was able to thrive in all forms, because people kept everything within the family. And that harmed so many people. I'm glad today we are shining a light. So many people will be like, why are you telling your secrets? Why are you putting that on video? All of that. And I say shine the light on everything. Let all of the skeletons come out, because abuse gets to hide in shame. Abuse gets to hide in the dark. And people are not protected by keeping their mouth closed and making sure that everybody stays quiet. So people's reputations and egos get protected, but women and children's bodies don't get protected. Southerner says, everything was kept secret. We were not allowed to speak about anything going on in the household or ask questions. I was born in 1964. Nika says, my grandmother on her deathbed told me to choose myself and be confident in it. Zoe says, and men wonder why women aren't like their grandmothers. These women did not want us like them. And then Nika says, they did not. She said, you were always different, really strong, and that's okay. Keep going. You think I'm not going to listen? Absolutely. They wanted us strong. They wanted us independent and confident in all of that. And I love our grandmothers. Well, some of our grandmothers. Some people still had those patriarchy patties for grandmothers. But if you did not have a patriarchy, if you didn't have a patriarchy patty for a grandma, if you had one that says stand up, be independent, you're definitely a different person now. Zoe says, I know that's right. Yeah, I know that's right. She's speaking the life in you she didn't have. She knows what she's saying. You better. And that's that. So with this, go ahead and let me know, what did your grandmothers instill in you? It's definitely a conversation that we need to continue to have. So here's me at my high school graduation. I was actually valedictorian for my high school graduation, and both of my grandmothers were there smiling, extra proud of me. I absolutely love this picture and love that both of my grandmothers were there for my speech for my high school graduation. Here's my mother and my grandmother at my college graduation, my undergrad in Ohio. I'm so glad that she was able to make it, because my grandmother, my mama, she didn't really travel. So I absolutely love that she was actually able to come out, and she did come out for my college graduation. I absolutely love this picture. Now, my dad and my stepdad, they were also very supportive. You know, they love the fact that the family was educated. But still, I love this picture. I love that my grandmothers were there cheering me on. Chime in. Did your grandmother share any stories with you? This grandmother of mine never remarried. I never knew my grandfather, my mother's father. He was dead before I came along, and my grandmother was never interested in dating anyone else. I never knew the story at all. But after living a little bit, I completely understand. So y'all go ahead and chime in. Let me know what you think. Like, comment, and share. This man made this video. It's not really a video. He just has this caption saying 80% of single women are no longer interested in dating. They are not even trying. Why is this the case? Women only. And a woman went into the comments and decided to make a video of this. Now, you see, this has over 3,000 comments. I may go in and capture some more of them, but go ahead and take a listen to what she compiled.
A man made a post and it says 80% of single women are no longer interested in dating. They're not even trying. Why is this the case? And he specifically said women only. The comment section is truly heartbreaking. One person said they don't add anything to my life. They just take away the joy. Another person said we are tired emotionally, mentally, and physically. Someone says it's not worth disrupting my peace. Another person said, because after my last situation, I learned that if a man can't offer emotional safety, accountability, and basic respect, he doesn't get access to me ever again. Someone else said, me personally, I've accepted that this generation isn't for me, maybe in the next life. This is the one that actually made me tear up a bit. This person said, because they all hurt me, either with hands or with words. Another person said, my nervous system cannot take another toxic relationship. Abusers and emotionally unavailable men are rife right now. I can't heal again just to be destroyed. I can't heal again just to be destroyed. Another person underneath that said, they hate us. Someone said, what's the point? All they do is use us. Another person says, I think we're tired of the games. Someone says, sometimes you get to a buffet, you realize the choices are such poor quality that honestly, you'd rather just eat at home. Another person said, anytime I get close to someone, they prove to me that I'm better off alone. Another person said, because it's safer and less stressful to be single. Another person said, it's not good for my mental health. It causes so much anxiety. Another person said, men today think they are entitled, worthy and deserving without earning or trying. Women are their maids, their bookkeepers, their babysitters, their chefs, their personal shoppers, and everything else in between. Us women go unappreciated and truly loved too often while it's expected to be given all day, every day to a man without question. Another person said, because even guys who are 35 and above still aren't emotionally stable. Another person said, I'm 50. Whatever years I have left, I will be in therapy healing from decades of trauma from men. I barely escaped with my life. If I date, it's basically Russian roulette at this point. And this one, lack of emotional effort, mixed signals, and lying for no reason. Someone said, the last time it almost killed me. I'm good. Another person said, I'm tired of giving my all and ending up broken. It's safer on your own, no one to let you down. These are just some of the comments, and it's truly heartbreaking to read them. You know, I don't think some of y'all understand what you're doing to people. Like you have shut people off so much that they don't trust anyone, and that's truly sad.